Hello everybody, my name is Christian Wick and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 2.7 Charm update that I never talked about. Now technically in the code it's called the Wild Update Plus. I just wasn't creative and couldn't think of a better name. So let's talk about all these charms. Technically, let's just look at this board real quick. So if I quickly turn around, oop, I went too far. We can take a look at all the charms. So we have Might, Sight, Fight, Light. Then we have Flight, a Slight, a Light, Blight, Bright, Fright, and Night. Now these have their fancy spheres, but how do you make them? You can make them in the recipe book by mixing charms, or by mixing amulets. And the thing about mixing amulets is you just need 2 amulets of a particular kind, and you're going to need to get some ender shards. Now, if you don't know how to get an ender shard, an ender dragon will shoot a fireball, and when it hits the ground, you can collect it and get dragon's breath. With that dragon's breath, you can go in the end after, and you can collect some resin. And if you put that resin in the bottle, you'll get ender shards. From there, you should know how to get nether wart, fermented spider eye, and a milk bucket. But let's talk about the differences between what an amulet's doing and what a charm is doing. That way you can kind of see what's going on. So, for example, we have the sight charm. The sight charm is made out of the amulet of shadows and the amulet of closed eyes. So, using an amulet of closed eyes, you'll notice that you will get blindness and you will not be able to see. And with shadows, you'll get darkness and things will get even darker. But what happens when you mix it with a milk bucket? When you use the charm, they instantly go away. So using these effects again, and then I use it right away, you'll notice that it prevents, it reverses, it prevents you from getting those bad effects. So when you think of an amulet and how amulets work, what makes them special is that they have the power of 3. So if you use it on a block, you'll get 3 levels. If you hit an entity with levitation per se, you'll notice that they get level 2. If they float up twice as high, you get to float up once, and then you both fall. However, in situations like speed, if I was to hit 1, I would get 2 levels, and they would only get 1. So coming back to the charms, we'll notice that we have the Might charm, which can be made out of the Amulet of Bro, you gotta try this, and the Amulet of Gluttony. So, what this does is it will get rid of hunger and nausea. As explained earlier, your sight charm will get rid of shadows and closed eyes. A fight charm will get rid of poison and wither. And a light charm will get rid of slowness and mining fatigue. What definitely makes charms unique from amulets is that with amulets you have to use one at a time, while with charms you just have to use whichever one you're holding, and you can mix charms to make stronger effects. So here I have a whole nother board that talks about specifically just mixing charms. So if you were to, just the same way with charms, if you have all of the amulets, you should be able to make a charm. But if you have 2 charms, you should be able to make, see how this has 1 sphere? This one has 2 spheres because it's mixing both the Might charm and the Sight charm to make the Bright charm. Here in this example, we can see that here we have the Light and Might making Flight. Here we have the Light and Fight making Slight. Here we have the light and sight making a light. Here we have might and fight making blight. Here we have might and sight making bright. And then lastly, we have fight and sight making fright. Now, that you have the devil spheres, they now get rid of 4 effects instead of 2. And as a bonus to these 6 mixed charms that are able to be created, there's an actual bonus effect that can be removed, which is weakness. So by mixing any 2, you will have a bonus to get rid of weakness. And on top of that, whichever one you make with the 2 bands, if you make the opposite 2 bands, you can mix those together to make what's the best charm of all, known as the Night Charm. The Night Charm is the most powerful charm. It will get rid of every effect, including, as its bonus, instant damage, making you practically invincible from any potion effect, or any source of magic. This would be the Night Charm. It doesn't matter what you got. Another one of the bonus differences is that when you're using a charm, you'll notice that you'll get a luck. So a regular charm gives you luck 3, while a mixed charm gives you luck 5, and lastly, a night charm gives you luck 10. On top of this update, doing so much to do with all these mixed amulets, they do put in. The purpose was to eliminate the bad uses for most of these, where if somebody has an amulet of decay, nobody wants to give themselves wither. So what would be the point of trying to make one? Well, now it has a purpose, in which that purpose would be to make the charms, which help negate it, do the opposite, and turns a bad thing into a good thing. Although that's all the items that were basically made in this update, there's still a big change that was made in this update, and this is basically all your advancements. So there are 3 pages in advancements. There was the original This Looks Different mod tab, and it was categorized into different mods. And so now you have Good Luck to Us, Remember to Brush, Midas Seeds, and Farmland of the Nether as a branch. And then we have Cool Looking Stone, Brick Extension, and a different ore. What you'll notice here is that these ones that have the curves on the edges unlock a new tab. So a different ore opens up the mining tab. So once you open this up, you can go through it, and then you can see how a colorful jewel has these on there too. And so that would open up the magic tab. Now, going on to what I was saying before, we haven't talked about the little special squigglies. So anytime you complete one of these, you will actually, for completing them, you will receive a Totem of Undying, which I think is a perfect gift for a hardcore world. However, there are a limited number of them that you can have. There are New Rainbow Collection, Farmland of the Nether, and in the mining tab we have Homemade, not store-bought, and then the Coldest Block. And finally in the magic tab we have Truly a One-Man Band. So this updating the tabs here is supposed to help promote players to go through some of the things of the mods, and it kind of gives a little guide of things that you can do. So for this, we can start with Roses Are Back. There are also 2 other mod flowers. Pick one up and see what kind of dye it makes. And so this would encourage players to look for one of the flowers. And then once you get that, you said, it seems that there are 5 mod dyes, yet 3 mod flowers. I guess it's a good thing to rely on the crafting recipes given to me to tell how to make something even if I forget or wonder what else I can make. And so they're all a bunch of like little notes, but then we have Rainbow Collection. All other versions of the game ask for players to get a hold of the original 16 colors of wool. Since we have these new dyes, this advancement is the new Rainbow Collection, which looks for you to obtain all 21 wool types. Ouch. There was no way to obtain Crimson Farmland. And actually only all the Minecraft ones still don't work because of the way they're registered. But it also encourages players to get specific mod hoe. Doesn't matter which one, as long as it's from the mod. And you should be able to till these just fine. There was a mistake where I accidentally swapped, where it would say if you have all the Hellstone, it would give you an Emerald chestplate. And then if you had all the emeralds, it would give you a Hellstone chestplate. They are swapped, which means that the emeralds make the emeralds and the Hellstone make the Hellstone. If we look at our large cloud file, we actually have 4 new cloud names that have been added. So we have Barry, we have Cal, we have Joman, and we have Valskanize. They are backwards on here because when they display in the clouds that you're under them, so if that makes sense. But it seems that that is actually going to wrap up the update. It was a little bit of a small one, but we do have an update coming through, and hopefully Hopefully this drags some attention, I guess. But sorry that this one was a forgotten update. I just didn't do the work, and well, when you procrastinate, you're gonna have to work double time. So don't procrastinate. Lesson learned. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado,